Thank you everyone for having me out in Winnipeg there. I'm in Ottawa. I'm 1 hour ahead of you guys. So baseball game's already started here. Um, and I was there 2 weeks ago. I was there at the Zone Summit. I just hung out by the airport. I had nowhere else to go. They wouldn't let me out of my room, out of the convention hall. OP was there too, so he saw the drill, how busy we were all the time. My topic today, as was introduced, is the ICC, the Intercountry Committee, and I'm going to bring that up. Let me know if everybody can see this. Just nod your heads or say hello or something. Okay, good. So, I'm sure most of you people know this better than me. That what the ICC is Intercountry Committee, and they have them between Canada and many other countries. I think the first initial ICC was after World War II, as I recall, between France and Germany. So it's expanded beyond that. So the whole thing was that since Calgary had the international convention this year, the thought was to have the ICC signed between Canada and Ukraine. We had a delegation come from Ukraine, and we had the signing ceremonies there. This presentation I give also to non-Rotary members, so that's what I've been doing lately. So this is a little bit of a refresher for some people. Somebody was asking me, "Do I know what Rotary is?" And yes, I've done some digging into it. I'll jump back to just as a snapshot in Canada, there's 728 clubs, 27,000 members. In Ukraine, there are 62 clubs and six satellite clubs, and over 1,100 members there. And some of them came, not that many, about 2 dozen came to Calgary for the signing ceremony. Again, Rotary, this is a snapshot for people that don't know what Rotary is all about. 1.2 million people. We've helped volunteer hours of 47 million hours so far. And, just the 1 year alone was almost $300 million worth of sustainable funded projects. I'm sure you know all about the peace fellowships. I won't go through that with you. I'm sure you're aware of all of these programs that are part of Rotary, youth exchange, which would be nice to do with Ukrainian students, leadership, and Rotary Corps, but maybe that will be for another day. The scholarships and grants, again, nice idea to have. And I know there are going on right now. So let me jump back into the theme of the evening, which is Ukraine. And as you know, what's been happening since 2014, actually, that's when the first invasion started, Russian invasion started of Ukraine, but the full scale, massive, attack happened in February 2022. Rotary jumped into action, as far as I recall, and in 2023, in 10 months, the foundation disaster response fund was able to raise almost $17.5 million. That went towards numerous grants. Over 375 grants provided essential services for people that were displaced people. You had millions of people moving, fleeing Ukraine, and also just moving from east to west within Ukraine. They needed to be housed, and this. Well, I'll get into that where the money went. But some people ask, and you may still hear that, why is it crucial to support Ukraine? Well, Ukraine, some of you may know, again, this may be a refresher, is a breadbasket for a good part of the world. A lot of countries are dependent on the grains and the oils, the sunflower oils that come out of Ukraine because of the fertile land. On the map, you can see on the right, what countries are dependent based from the World Food Program, which countries they support in an agricultural basis. So that's why if Ukraine is run over and destroyed, and landmines are placed everywhere, and the soil can't be farmed, then the rest of the other parts of the world are going to suffer too at the same time, unfortunately. So this is why the world is interconnected, and this is why we have to work towards getting this solved and keeping Ukraine going. Maybe you hear once in a while this, Ukraine used to be a lot in the news. It's scaled back now, but I was in Ukraine, just to let you know. Last year, I was there 3 times myself. I did experience the blackouts. I did experience the drones flying overhead, the explosions, the concussions. That does go on. It's not just something that somebody's put on a picture screen or somebody's put on a video. It's actual reality. I've experienced the blackouts. So that was last year. This year it's even worse. I've been told. I haven't been. Unfortunately, I haven't gone. But this is the fourth year, and there's a big There's potentially could be a big problem coming up this winter. So there is a crucial need. There will be a crucial need for generators, and this is just basic stuff that we take for granted. Just simple things, just to keep our fridges running, just to keep the water running. To get your cell phone charged. That's generators are going to be a need, and there's a project already that we have 30 generators standing by in Western France that need to be transported to Ukraine. If you're interested, I can give you more details about that afterwards. I mentioned the internally displaced people, IDPs. I saw these centers myself firsthand, how they're supporting the people. Again, these people were in eastern part of Ukraine. The war broke out. They had to massively evacuate with barely a suitcase in their hand, maybe a knapsack, but no supplies, no clothing, nothing. And then they're somewhere in a strange city, and they need basic things again that we take for granted. On the right, there's a gentleman there. If you see sitting on the floor, he's a treasurer of the Quai of Balzac Rotary Club. There, the guy in the glasses with the child in his lap. And he's at a shelter. He's at a center getting things organized for them. Again, then we have another location. Luckily, it's outdoors and people a bit better scenario, but still, the need is there to support that. That's basic needs there. And this is what some of the centers, the government can provide very little. Unfortunately, these centers do get government buildings, access to government buildings or buildings that are in inventory but in a bad state of repair. You have 4 walls, maybe a door and a ceiling. That's it. The plumbing, as you can see, was antiquated. So just to get a basic shower, that's again a need that's required all the time. Even now, even after all these years, because unfortunately, as you know, buildings do get damaged because of the war, because of the rubble the bombing that's going on. So things need to get fixed up again. Don't know if you recall in 2023, 2024, one of the dams on the river there, the Dnieper River, was blown up by the Russians, and so there's a lot of flooding going on. And we take these things for granted. Here in North America, we have the animal shelters that help out. Here, there they don't. So there was volunteers that went out and just rescued these dogs, cats, and horses, and they need basic power too just to survive. Again, the generator system comes up. They need money for food, just to feed these animals. Again, some of these animals were also, I know personally of people that the gentlemen and women that went to war had to leave their pets behind, and somebody said, "Yes, I'll take care of your animals," and they ended up with 1, 2, 3. Before you know, they had five cats, 3 dogs in their house because everybody was leaving. A lot of good portion of people were leaving to go to the war, and nobody was taking care of their animals. So that's a critical need too. As you know, unfortunately, there are orphan children in Ukraine due to the war. Their parents, either one or both, have died. And so there was a project with the Rotary clubs in Western Europe that I'll show that later, that they took them out of Ukraine for a couple of weeks during the summer just to get them, just to get them away from all the noise. Because every 2 hours, I'll tell you, every 2 hours, your phone, that was last year. Now it's every 30 minutes, your phone rings with an air raid siren. So you're at your wit's end. And so the whole idea was to get the children out of this environment into a safer space they could mentally decompress. And when they're coming back from Western Europe after the summer, they had to go to school. So we were able to, after the ICC was organized, we were able to organize the basic school supplies for the children. And I have to thank there are a half a dozen Canadian clubs that did step up in the summer, during the summer months, to supply some funding to support the kids in their schoolwork. Another critical issue, I'm almost sure that you've seen some of these projects already, or this type of projects. And this is a pediatric hospital in Western Ukraine that sees a lot of refugees flowing through from the east to west. Again, a building it's dated since the 1950s, never used, got pushed into service because they needed a place to house, put these people to take care of them, to give them health care, to have where mothers are going to give birth. So, but the facilities, as you can see, are antiquated. It's hard to sterile, keep anything sterile. The sterilization machine there is, at its wit's end. It's barely keeping up. So some basic thing, basic plumbing, basic beds, that's needed. So again, that's another potential project if you're interested. Something with more detail, give you more numbers, what's needed. This is a project about $4,500 Canadian, cardiograph, just for veterans, for people that in need, just to give them a basic understanding where their health status is at. And you can imagine the EKG must be sky high with the stress and everything else. But it's good to know the doctors that are there need to know what's happening with the residents. So this is a project that's potentially ready to go. What is ready to go? It's just the potential is there. And then more than one, but one. Let's start with one. Another one is another project about a little bit more, 6,500 Canadian. This is to again for senior citizens, for people actually, and then also that have been their eyesight's been damaged by the flashes of the explosions or the shrapnel, so they have to triage them. They need some equipment to check out what their eyesight is like, what's the status of their eyesight, and how they're doing. So another project, if anybody's interested. And a lot of this equipment can be purchased also within Western Europe and even sometimes within Ukraine, and the efficiencies of that are tenfold. You don't have to worry about bringing things over the border. You don't have to worry about shipping, logistics, that kind of thing. The money goes directly to where it's needed. It's not used for logistics. Some things need to be brought from outside of the country, yes, of course, but a lot of things, if you can get it locally, like this, it's great. Again, here's a list of items that they said that they could still use. They need. Do they need them now? Yes. How often do they need them? Yeah, they need them yesterday. Do they need them all at once? Well, whatever they can get, again and again, depending on club dependent, which clubs are interested, what's available, what kind of fundraising is available, and this is all understood by the clubs in Ukraine. They understand and they are appreciative of all the support they've been getting for the last 3 years, 3.5 years. Again, here's another list of items. I can give you more details afterwards. I did mention the orphans. Christmas is coming up. This is based on what happened last year with the orphans. They organized about 500 children in these centers, and again, just to give them a peace of mind, just to get their minds off of the war and get them into a different frame of thought. They created a Christmas show, Christmas concerts, and it's just to again put a smile on the children's faces during the holiday season. It seems to work, and the children that are there, they're suffering, as you can tell. I think you can imagine. And luckily, they're in Ukraine. They haven't been kidnapped by the enemy, by the Russians, and so this is a whole idea of again brought upon by the Ukrainian clubs. How do we keep them in good spirits? And so this is a project that's well worth the effort. Another one is winter camps, just to get the children moving, just to get them, because a lot of the times right now, I'll tell you, a lot of the schools are underground. In the bigger cities where there are the subway systems, a lot of the schools are are holding classes in the subway system, just like they did during the London Blitz in World War II. So that's happening in Kiev and in Kharkiv. Other cities they have built already by now. They have built, and I've seen them, underground shelters. So thank goodness for that, because of obviously the intense bombing that's been happening increased since last year. A lot of things, a lot of the buildings on the surface get wiped out, but there's a whole industry underground these days, including education. So the kids need to get out. There's this whole idea, to get them out, give them some support, mental support, and mental health support, and it works wonders for them when they come back. Unfortunately, they have to go back to Ukraine. Not everybody can leave Ukraine, and this is how we can support them that way. And I mentioned earlier what happened in the summer. We had the two sets of orphans that left for Western Europe. In July, they went to Belgium. In August, they went to France. Again, supported by local Rotary clubs there. They brought them over. They helped them. They housed them. They organized their events for them. They took care of them, and then they, saw them off. And they made great. The children made great connections, and friendships. And so the Canadians then stepped in, and again, I showed you earlier, we had the kits, the school supplies. That's where the Canadian Rotary clubs supported these children on their return to Ukraine. I'm based in Ottawa, and I'm working with a lady from Ukraine, from one of the clubs there. She's my assistant in all of this. Sometimes I am fluent in Ukrainian, but again, the more people I have helping me, the better for administrative purposes and communication. Basically, she was there. She recently has arrived in Canada, so she's working here with me. But again, she has her connections in Ukraine. And that is all